Samsung's Galaxy Z TriFold is now official, and let's just say it's miles better than we thought. It seems Google's quick share to AirDrop feature will soon reach more Android phones. Possible iPad mini changes indicate that it's either going pro or just too good for its price. It seems Apple is ready to work with Intel one more time, but no worries, it's not what you think. And yes, Apple's iPhone Fold is reportedly a lot more expensive than experts speculated. I'm Jaime Rivera, and by the way, episode 2 of our Technically There podcast with Josh is now live, with episode 3 coming this week. Hope to see you there. But in the meantime, let's go through these 5 interesting topics. This is Tech Briefing powered by MediaTek. Let's begin today with the question I know many of you have. Yes, Google's ability to get quick share to communicate with Apple's AirDrop and then work as flawlessly as it does between iPhones and Pixels was a really big deal a few days ago. I was pleasantly surprised during my recent comparison between iPhone 17 and Pixel 10, which I highly recommend you watch. But yeah, I know you're wondering when the rest of Android phones will be getting this benefit. And well, it doesn't necessarily seem to be an Android thing as much as it is a chip thing, with Qualcomm just announcing that its Snapdragon-powered devices are getting it soon. The company didn't really specify a timeline or the list of compatible models, but the feature could extend beyond smartphones to tablets and laptops running on Snapdragon processors, which I find to be great. Combined with Apple adding RCS support in iOS 18, this move continues to reduce the long-standing communication gaps that we've had between Android and iOS for years, signaling a rare moment of ecosystem cooperation that we've been asking for the longest time. Whether this was part of the EU crackdown or not is hard to tell, but let's just enjoy. I'm curious to know what you think about all this in the comments. Now let's switch to Apple, as anyone considering getting an iPad mini might want to wait. We've heard of a refresh for the tablet for weeks, but now we have tentative dates for the possible launch and also some more. Apparently it'll happen in the fall of 2026. According to a tipster on Weibo, the launch could happen between the 3rd and 4th quarter of 2026, and given how it's been refreshed between September and October, the timing does line up. The thing is, once you look at the spec sheet, I'm even wondering if Apple is considering making this the first iPad mini Pro of sorts, which we also covered as rumors years ago. First of all, the iPad mini 8 has been called to bring an OLED display, and if this is the tandem OLED that the Pro models are getting, I know of no other device that offers this technology without being crazy expensive and premium. If the Air remains with an LCD, then yes, it could be that this might be a Pro in a third form factor. Apple is also reportedly redesigning the speaker system to improve water resistance, removing traditional speaker holes and using a vibration-based solution instead, which, yes, also made me remember that no iPad is water resistant, so that could be another Pro indicator for future models. There might be an A19 Pro chip powering the show instead of an M chip, so that could be points against the premise, or probably in favor, you never know. I'm curious to know how much you'd be willing to pay for this in the comments, because we hear that it'll get more expensive, starting at $600. And then speaking of Apple and M chips, let's talk Intel, as things just got interesting with rumors of a tentative new collaboration. According to analyst Ming-Chi Kuo, Intel could begin producing Apple's lowest-end M series chips as early as mid-2027 using its 18A process, one of the first sub-2 nanometer nodes available in North America. These chips could be part of the future M6 or M7 lineup for devices like the MacBook Air, iPad Air, and iPad Pro. The thing is, no, this is not technically an Intel chip powering an Apple product. Instead, think of Intel as taking a competitive role to TSMC and Samsung and providing the manufacturing of Apple's design with their architecture. Meaning, yes, this is ARM, not x86. Also, no worries, Kuo claims that TSMC would remain the primary supplier for most of Apple's M-series chips, and especially at the higher end. Adding Intel could help Apple diversify its supply chain and satisfy US political pressure for more domestic manufacturing. Apple's move away from Intel began in 2020, and its M-series chips have pretty much revolutionized the industry ever since and continue leading in performance per watt. Considering that macOS Tahoe will be the last to support Intel-based Macs, this is an interesting timing. I'm curious to know if you care about all this in the comments. And yes, how about if we talk about Apple's first foldable, as it might not be as we expected. Early reports claimed that Cupertino wasn't planning to go too crazy in the price point point of its iPhone Fold, but new data claims otherwise. It seems the price will be around $2,400, which, far exceeds the price of the Z Fold 7 and even the Pixel 10 Pro Fold, and the $2,000 we heard it would cost. It doubles the starting price of even Apple's iPhone 17 Pro Max as well. Thing is, the rumors claim that this is because Apple isn't just planning to make a Me Too foldable, and that could mean so many things. It seems that Apple might call this the iPhone Ultra, by the way, and not iPhone Fold, and part of the selling point is that this would be the first foldable without a visible crease. I've reported in the past how this might be thanks to a custom hinge with liquid metal components and the display structure designed in-house, even if we hear Samsung might implement it as well, given how Samsung is making the panel for this iPhone. Obviously, this would transcend the current understanding of Ultra products that we have been given over time, as this is not about the cameras. There are apparently only 2 on this device. I'm curious to know if you would be willing to pay $2,400 for an iPhone like this in the comments. Now, before we get to the hottest news, let me tell you about today's sponsor, MediaTek. Yes, the company powers most smart TVs in the market today, but what if your current TV is already aging and getting sluggish and you're not ready to upgrade just yet? Well, meet Google's TV Streamer 4K. It's powered by MediaTek's 8696 processor, which allows you to pretty much turn any TV or monitor into the fastest smart TV money can buy. It gives you full access to Google TV and more than enough RAM for you to jump between applications without these having to reload all the time. It lets you control your smart home with ease and even pair your Pixel buds for whenever you want more immersive watching. It's yet another example of how MediaTek powers some of the smartest experiences in the world today. Thanks to MediaTek for sponsoring this video. And finally, for the hottest news today, grab some popcorn. Let's talk about Samsung's new Galaxy Z TriFold. I know, I do wish they went with a shorter name, but hey, it's here and it looks a lot better than we thought. My buddy Super Saf in a room had some hands-on time with it recently, and man, I'm not gonna lie, I do want one. The device measures just 3.9 millimeters when unfolded. Yes, thinner than the Z Fold 7, at least in one of the panels. 12.9 millimeters when closed, which, believe it or not, is thinner than the Galaxy Z Fold 5 when closed. When looking at it from the front, it seems almost like a Galaxy Z Fold 7 with a 6.5-inch display and 2600 nits of brightness. Inside, we have a 10-inch dynamic AMOLED 2X with 120Hz refresh rate and 1600 nits. To ensure durability, we're talking of a dual hinge armor flex hinge mechanism, titanium in the housing, advanced armor aluminum in the frame, and the reinforced polymer in the back. It does unfold in a sort of a U shape and folds to a G shape to ensure the inner panel is not exposed. Though keep in mind, there is no flex mode nor a halfway mode. It only works either fully opened or fully closed. Now, it's powered by the Snapdragon 8 Elite for Galaxy, not the Gen 5, as it probably wasn't ready when this device was a prototype. 16 gigs of RAM, 512 gigs of storage, a 5600 mAh battery, a 45-watt fast charger apparently in the box, IP48 dust and water resistance as well. The cameras are pretty much the same as the Z Fold 7 in looks and specifications, but really, the bigger story here is the software. Yes, Samsung has adapted it to take full advantage of the larger canvas, but even cooler is that it can run full DeX if you'd prefer, allowing you to resize windows, use multiple desktops, you name it. The experience looks crazy cool, to be honest, pretty much like a computer replacement more than a tablet. It does not look like a prototype. The asymmetry of its panels make total sense to help you with ergonomics as well. It launches in December 12th in Korea and in the United States in early 2026. We hear of the price point in Korea being around $2,500 when converted to US dollars, which is too good to be true. We're actually hearing that for the United States, it could be around $3,000, though no official confirmation just yet. In today's question, let me know. Do you like what you see with Samsung's Galaxy Z TriFold? Because in my case, listen, I love it. I can totally see myself using this, particularly because, again, it behaves more like a computer than anything. I'm curious to hear what you think about it in the comments. Friends, thank you so much for joining another episode of Tech Briefing. Please like, subscribe, and join the conversation in the comments, as you've seen me try to respond to as many as I can. Also, follow me on social media as more behind-the-scenes work happens there. We've got so many interviews coming up because, yes, by the way, quick reminder, episode 2 of our Technically There podcast with Josh is live, with episode 3 coming this week. We would really appreciate your support there as well, as we build this product around you. I'm Jaime Rivera. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.